Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who hasn't taken his night at the Roxbury soundtrack out of his CD player since 1997, Nick Rehack.
I mean, it's true. It's jammed in there, but I'm just going to pretend that I left it in there on purpose.
And this isn't the sad kind of being stuck in there, like in The World's End, where Simon Pegg's character just sadly listens to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like just kind of, he's trying to recapture the olden days. You just love bangers.
Hey, man. Sometimes you just like to wake up and have, instead of oops all berries, you have oops all bangers. That's your breakfast. Just sound punching you in the face, but with love. It's a love punch in the face with music.
And like all your family and friends are kind of like, oh yeah, we're gonna do it again, but then they sit in the car and 3 seconds later they're bobbing their heads like the Butabi brothers in their cars.
You think they're gonna be mad. They're like, I gotta listen to this again, but like you said, they just start nodding, then the feet start tapping, and then they're tapping on their legs, then they start tapping on me, and I'm like, stop it, I gotta drive. The whole thing.
Then the people next, when you're in a traffic jam, all of Baltimore starts dancing like La La Land, but it's much more aggressive.
Everybody puts it in park and they just get out of their cars. It's like, oh, hold on a second. Then I get a phone call and it stops it and everyone gets mad, like really mad, really quick.
Yeah, you don't do
and
that.
Just before a fight's about to break out, happens again and starts back up and everybody's getting it.
Let me ask you a question. Whenever Ace of Base comes on, you're immediately happy, are you not?
Oh,
Any Ace of Base song.
Yeah. You hear it and you're like, wait, yes, this is. Because you always say, yes, this is with a smile on your face.
Yeah.
You never been like, yeah, it's Ace of Base. You're like, yeah, it's Ace of Base. And you turn it up.
Just if you put that on in a stadium, like if you put this on during, I don't know, a Steelers game when they're playing the Browns, and you put on Ace of Base, everyone in the stadium would just be running around cheering and slapping each other's backs, and like it would just be total friendship in the stadium.
It would be like the Who's at the end of The Grinch when they're all just locked arm in arm, swaying back and forth around a tree, but they're doing this in the stadium, so it's around the field.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened once. Remember that in the 2003 Eagles game?
It was, but who were they playing? I want to say it
Seahawks.
It was the Seahawks. Yeah. You're right, because they were talking about calling it like a birdemic thing, and we're like, that's a little much to call it a birdemic. And then eventually a movie came out called Birdemic.
Oh yeah. I wonder if that's what caused it.
Ooh, or maybe that's what that guy, because you know how why can't I think of his name? Jordan Peele with his films, right? Nope. He revisited that TV show with the ape thing. In Us, he revisited Hands Across America. Maybe they were trying to start that. They were like, if we call this Birdemic, people are going to remember the Eagles versus Seahawks game from 2003.
Yeah, no one threw batteries. Actually, they threw batteries towards the CD player to keep it going.
And the weirdest thing is, it wasn't even the double A's that people used, or sometimes even the triple A's. It was those little circle CR25 batteries that are typically used in watches.
Yeah. And those are nice. Those are fine. Might land in your drink. You might swallow it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you're just going to keep time a whole lot better, get a little more energy.
If you go to a Philadelphia Eagles game, you're going to eat at least 3 batteries.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Easily. Then you wash it down with a hoagie and or a cheesesteak and you're fine.
Yeah, well, no, a Wawa half-gallon iced tea.
Ooh, you're right.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Is it iced tea or is it a half and half iced tea and lemonade?
Oh, that's a lot of work. I think they buy 2 and then just do 2 different hands and slug.
Yeah. Makes the full gallon.
Yeah.
Pro move.
You got to do the double.
Yeah, I mean, you're crazy if you don't.
Like, it's Wawa. It's not Wah.
That's exactly it.
Right? Wawa.
That's why they call it that, because you got to double fist whatever you're getting in there. Let me get 2 packs of cigarettes and I can smoke them at the same time.
Yeah. You try just leaving with peanut M&Ms. Like you're gonna have M&M and M&M. You're gonna be loaded.
Yeah, you are. If they sold books and you got a copy of Infinite Jest, you better be getting a second copy of Infinite Jest.
2 copies. Same release too. Same edition.
Yeah, 2 Infinite, 2 Jest.
Ha! Oh man. Yeah, so the reason we're talking about all this is because, I'm going to tell you something, and don't get full of yourself, okay? That would never happen. But the Tron Legacy Daft Punk, I just like saying Daft Punk, episode is the most popular Movies, Films, and Flicks episode of the last 2 years.
Really?
Yeah. And we didn't even release it 2 years ago.
Man.
And so, not to be like, we're not doing shameless plugs, because before that we did soundtracks, like we're not trying to recreate the glory. I just think it's a fun thing that we do. And so two of my favorite soundtracks. I was big into 90s soundtracks, man. Batman Forever, Cable Guy, with the the Primitive Radio Gods and Filter. Hey man, nice. That was on every soundtrack. You just wonderful soundtracks back in the day. Then I figured, let's talk about the Pulp Fiction soundtrack and the Night at the Roxbury soundtrack, which I both found in an old CD jacket of mine that still has the barf on it from either Dirty Doug. Pretty sure Dirty Doug did it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's another person who. I think Doug puked on it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't my other roommate, Leap. So now whenever I see the jacket, there's remnants of puke on it from 2003.
Now, is it the actual sleeve from the CD case, or is it a sleeve that you tucked into the big CD binder so you could carry all 128 CDs with you wherever you go?
Oh, I'm sorry. I had the big case, the Case Logic case. I think I have 64 in there.
Okay.
So it was zipped up, got puked on. I cleaned it off. Still have them. They actually got stolen from my house, and I got all three of them back.
Okay.
I went Taken. I went Liam Neeson's Taken. Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key would do an episode about how I got those CDs back. Because that's
you just chased them down.
I think I got 100. It's what? I got 164, 128, 152 CDs were stolen from me in total. That's a lot of money.
That's
in 03.
Yeah, absolutely it is. With all the different Grateful Dead box sets that are coming out, I mean, I myself still buy CDs.
Yeah. And guess how many arms I snapped to get my CDs back?
I'm gonna guess 7. Because I bet it was 3 people. You snapped all of their arms. One guy, as soon as he got it fixed, you went back and re-snapped it.
I did it. Yeah, I did it twice to all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 3 guys who stole my jackets. So I broke their arms twice after they healed, and then there was another person that just, I don't know, gave me a weird look during the whole thing. I was a little hyped up. So
yeah,
I feel bad about that one.
Excuse me, what'd you say?
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't say anything. That's right.
Hey, you can't snap that guy's arm. I'm like, yeah, listen to the whole story before you make a comment.
You better watch out or I'll snap your arm.
Snap.
You just snap one arm. You tell the others what happened here today.
Who? What others?
You know who I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah. But
you just bark at him as you run away.
Mad dogging it. But yeah, so that's still in my jacket. I put them in my CD player on my long commute to work. Listening to Night at the Roxbury while stuck in rush hour traffic in Atlanta is not ideal.
I would not assume. I've driven through Atlanta, and the highways are, I'm not saying Mad Max Fury Road level, because Baltimore, D.C. has their own problems, but you're pretty close out there.
It's a lot of steel plates on the ground, but it's hard to get into just an absolute banging soundtrack when you're going 3 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, and yeah, so but still, I listened to it. I adored the songs. I researched all the songs. This was a lot of work, and this isn't a cynical follow-up to our soundtrack episode because you and I just love soundtracks. We both love music. We both love movies, and we both love soundtracks. Yep.
Absolutely. I know you collect vinyl. I collect vinyl. And I mean, I myself still buy CDs. I am a massive Deadhead. So every 3 months I get the latest in the Dave's Pick series. So that's the extent of my CD purchases.
So his picks, are they like Foghat? Are they modern picks? Or like what is Dave?
Nope.
What's the release?
So, Dave Lemieux is a sound engineer that works for the Grateful Dead organization. And so this is volume 43. Whoa. So he's picked 42 other shows. Basically, he finds a show in the vault and then re-releases it. This one is from 1969, a show in San Francisco and then one in Dallas.
Nice.
So it's a lot of them, yeah.
See,
it's nice. It's fun.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. I wish like the Rembrandts had one of those. I'm just doing 90s references. So yeah, I've shared my music. We've learned a lot about each other in these opening minutes of the episode, and this is great. And so what we're gonna do is, much like our last draft, we're each gonna pick 3 songs from each soundtrack. We are going to alternate between Pulp Fiction, Night at the Roxbury, Pulp Fiction Night. So you pick a Pulp, I pick a Pulp, you pick a Night, I pick a Night, you pick a Pulp. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll do that. We'll talk about why we like each song, where it takes place in the movie. And then we'll probably talk about Patrick Wilson wearing a polo somewhere in here. So you know what I realized real quick? Pulp Fiction, this soundtrack. Okay, actually, Nick, when was the first time you saw Pulp Fiction?
First time I saw Pulp Fiction, much like anybody else, I assume, college.
Got it.
Yeah, just one of those things. They used to have the poster fair in September, so it was all those posters that you have up on the walls and everything. And I saw it, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch this movie. Finally, went to the local Blockbuster, picked it up one night, threw it in the Xbox 360 because I didn't have Blu-ray. Blu-ray was a thing, but I didn't have one. But I watched it on DVD, and I enjoyed it a lot, like a lot.
Awesome. When did you watch Night at the Roxbury?
When I was too young. I grew up on let's say 10, 11.
Nice.
Right in that little sweet spot. I grew up Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Comedy Central reruns of 90s SNL. So I grew up on like the Chris Kattan, Will Ferrell, that era. So when they had the skits and then I heard there was a movie about it, I'm like, oh, what's this going on? And then I watched it. I just laughed and laughed and laughed. And it's something I revisit every so often. I'm fairly certain I have the DVD in the basement. Fairly certain, but I'm not going to run down and check right now.
Did anybody puke?
Because we're recording. Not that I'm aware of. Someone did puke on my The Departed Blu-ray one time and I had to buy a new one. That was a bummer. That was a real bummer.
Let's see. So I saw Pulp Fiction when I was 12. My mom took my brother and I to the theater. Okay. And it was wild. I remember the music. I remember everything. I remember being scarred for life. No, I had watched Reservoir Dogs before this. And I remember going, this is a lot of profanity. So I went and watched Pulp Fiction, and just the music, the coolness of it, I was blown away. And then I just went and watched Night at the Roxbury in the theaters in '98. I went and watched that, checked, I was watching everything by 14. But I gotta say, like, watching Pulp Fiction at 12 was a pretty transformative experience because of the nonlinear storytelling. Like, when you're 12, like, as much as I love Aladdin, it's linear. Watching this go out of place and people die, then come back, and these different storytelling, I'm like, is this what? Because I'd watch Die Hard, I'd watch those movies, but watching something like this kind of blew my mind, and this opened my mind to like other like Clerks and like other movies that were really out there, very talky type pictures. Like there's so much talking in the early '90s. You had like the Before movies, you had Clerks, Mallrats, a lot of talking. I don't know if we have as much talking in cinema anymore. I'm sure we do. It was a talky era, but
I think you just got to find the right movie. But maybe it'll come back around. Everything is cyclical.
I mean, maybe there were. I just think in cinema, maybe just in cinemas at the time, there was a ton of talkies going on. But yeah, it just blew my mind. And we had the poster on our wall. My brother and I, we shared a room. We had the soundtrack. Then we watched Night at the Roxbury. We had that soundtrack. And Night at the Roxbury was basically songs that we had recorded on cassette tape from the radio, but we just bought the CD anyway. We're old. I'm old, Nick. I'm 40. So,
this is 40.
Yeah, the Paul Rudd. It makes so much more sense now. Why didn't you invite me to go to Spider-Man?
I was just about to say that.
Like when you turn,
I love that line.
You know what the beauty about This Is 40 is that whenever you turn 40, you'll like it. Oh.
Cool.
That'd be cool on the DVD cover.
What else?
When you turn 40, you'll love it. Judd Apatow's like, my
28 years old. You're 28, like, I don't get it. You're 39. You know what? It's starting to make sense.
40. Wow.
This is it. This is my Citizen Kane. This is what I've been waiting for.
Apatow looks at kids who are 10 years old and goes, wait 30 years. And then the parents are like, get away from him.
Yeah. Why are you talking to my kid right now? He just stared him in the eyes. This is your rosebud. And walks away.
Oh, yeah. Also, in 30 years, you'll love 40-Year-Old Virgin. And you'll love that movie I did on Netflix that nobody liked, but people get eventually. The Box. Or is that the one that... All right, never mind. Let's get back to...
Judd Apatow? I was going to say.
Because The Box, he did a movie on Netflix. That's about people acting in front of green screens. Is that what it is?
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Pedro Pascal, Karen Gillan. Yeah, murderous row of characters.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Great soundtrack.
Oh, the Bubble.
The Bubble. What did I say? The Cube?
You said You said The Box.
The Box.
That's the one I think Cameron Diaz. There's a button and they got to push it or something like that.
That's Richard Kelly. Yeah, whenever you push it, someone gets catapulted 3 blocks.
Yeah. What is that?
It's like boop, and you just hear wow.
I was not expecting that.
Cameron, why did you? All right, so what we'll do, I'm gonna let you open the pick. So we have the Pulp Fiction soundtrack, which went to number 59. Oh no, it went to number 21 on the Billboard 200. And Urge Overkill's cover of the Neil Diamond song "Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon" peaked at number 59 on the Billboard Hot 100. I mean, it is a banger soundtrack. Doesn't have all the songs from the movie on it, but it's still like it's an embarrassment of riches. And I was reading something about it earlier, and I thought it was pretty funny by consequence, where they wrote it's I guess it's loaded with sexy songs and surf songs, and it works, which made me kind of happy. And it has a very West Coast vibe. I mean, Pulp Fiction has a very aggressive vibe, and so does the surf rock. So it's almost kind of perfect for it. You have the sexy songs, the surf rock songs, and it does create like a cool West Coast vibe. So what's your opening pick from it?
My opening pick is "You Never Can Tell" by Marvin Berry's cousin Chuck Berry.
Nice.
I always like this song. I love the scene in the movie because it kind of just takes a break from everything, right? Everything's a little heightened. There's a little bit of nervousness where he's not really sure what to expect, with the boss's lady. And then obviously we get into other shenanigans later on with the heroin and everything. But just taking the time to like dance and kind of break away. Not a lot of movies do that anymore. There was always that moment in a film where a song comes on and everything just stops and everybody starts dancing. If you look at oh gosh, why can't I think of Ferris Bueller's Day Off? And all of a sudden they're doing that song and it cuts and everyone's like, we're just going to dance for like 3 minutes. It's like, great. This feels kind of like that. And they're keeping it old school, doing like the, little twist and everything and just kind of old school moves. We played this at the wedding, my wife and I's wedding, because the opening line, there was a teenage wedding and the old folks wished them well. You could truly see that Pierre did love the Mademoiselle, and it's fun. And I had a lot of film friends at the wedding too, aka FTS was there. And when it started playing, I looked over at them and we kind of, like an eye contact thing. And it's like, oh, it's this thing that we're enjoying and no one else kind of gets, but it's still a good song.
Oh, it's a banger, man. Like I remember when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, I put together my own awesome mix, like what I would take with me. And this song's definitely on it for real. I started reading more about Chuck Berry and woo-wee, does that dude have a sordid past?
He sure does.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard.
Yeah, I dug up a lot of crap, which is a kind of a fun inside joke.
I was, yeah.
But the song still, though, I don't care. The song is an absolute banger. Just like Pierre and the Mademoiselle, they just keep doing well. They play their music, they turn it down, they get a nice job, they have some kids, they get married. Like it's not, it's just it's kind of nice because like it's just two people succeeding and everyone's like, well, c'est la vie, said the old folks. Like it's kind of nice that it's super positivity, but also, I mean, it's an iconic dance scene, man. Uma and John just crush it. I was watching it last night, and I mean, no wonder Travolta had his comeback. They just own the screen, and they're wonderful.
Yeah, it's really good, and that actually introduced me more to Uma Thurman. I'm fairly certain my first Quentin Tarantino film was Kill Bill Volume 1, and seeing Uma Thurman in a different role than what I had previously seen her in action, I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. She's doing something different, and then go down and look at her discography or filmography more and see what she's been into. So that was kind of nice to be like, oh yeah, I'm familiar. And then you start to see too how Tarantino works with a lot of the same people and everything like that.
Hey, so you and I head out to Baltimore for some reason. We go to the John Waters pub and brew, and where they just serve like really ridiculous food and bonkers beer, very loud. We're sitting there hanging out, and someone's like, "Hey, Mark, Nick, you guys could pick a song and do a dance contest, and you have a chance to win $5,000. What song would you pick?"
I mean, this is going to sound like a bit of a cop-out. I'm going to go with "Do You Love Me" by the Contours. Ooh. It's just a real classic. They're even throwing out some stuff, too. I can mash potatoes. I can do the twist. It'll give you a moment like, all right, I can pivot and do a twist thing. And while I'm doing the twist, because it's a very simple move, I can think about what's going to be my next move and then bang. And then, of course, there's that drop where it goes down and then bang, hits you back again with a watch me now. And it goes on and it's enjoyable. When I'm at work before anybody else sometimes, I'll throw it on and I'll dance around. I'll throw on Dance Yourself Clean by LCD Sound System and dance around. I'll throw on Tell Your Girlfriend by Robin and dance around. You know what I mean? Just it's 5 a.m. and I'm alone and I want to dance.
I want to dance. Everybody listen, everybody. No, yeah, you know what? I could do that one. Why not? I'm terrible at dancing, but if you look like you're having fun, you could nail it. We would lose the $5,000. Well, it was never ours to begin with, but
No.
people would be like, listen, you guys were great. Here's a beer. Here's a pretentious IPA and a Pink Flamingos Criterion disc. That was
Hey, a prize is a prize.
yeah. Like, hey, we won prizes at a John Waters dance contest.
Like, and how many people get to say they even took part in a John Waters dance contest? You know what I mean?
John Waters, when
of
we're walking
admission?
away, winks at us.
Good job, boys. Wings. It's like, oh my gosh, do we make a wish now? Is something about to come true? Was this pennies from heaven or what?
I read his book, Shock Value, and if you haven't read it, I totally recommend John Waters' Shock Value. It's a very good book.
It's so funny that you're talking about both John Travolta and John Waters. A couple years ago, they had a program where it was John Waters interviewing John Travolta about his career. It was like an hour and a half long. They just hung out on stage and talked, and I wasn't going to go. I wanted to go, but I didn't have the money, and out of nowhere, my mom was like, hey, this seems kind of cool, and just bought tickets, and we went, and I secretly recorded the whole thing on my phone. And I found the audio file the other day, and I kind of want to listen and see if I can scrub anything out of it. But it's just so weird that you're bringing those two up at like the exact same time. It's very coincidental.
See, that's why we're great, man.
Look at us, two trippy peas, one far out pod.
All right, so since you picked a song from the Jackrabbit Slim's place, I'm gonna do the same, and I had a first pick. But I'm going to pivot and go to my second pick, and that's going to be Lonesome Town, written by Baker Knight, who was an agoraphobe, and he lived in L.A., and he just didn't like it, so he kind of wrote about Lonesome Town. And they didn't really want Ricky Nelson to do it, but Ricky Nelson ended up singing it. I was listening to the Ventures cover of it earlier, and it wasn't as ambitious as I wanted. But yeah. It's Lonesome Town because, I mean, I'm super emo, right? And so, like, listening to this song just about Lonesome Town, going there where, like where people can cry. And, I mean, I just love the lyrics, and, it doesn't really, it's during the scene when Uma and John are talking about the $5 shake and money comes into play. And also, I mean, the writer was given a few dollars at a time to write songs to like stay alive. So he needed a few dollars, by his manager. Travolta's like talking about a $5 shake. But I just dig, like, there's a place where lovers go to cry their troubles away. They call it Lonesome Town, where broken hearts stay. I just love that. Like, it's like you can buy a dream or two, and the price is a heart full of tears. And then, like, I love it too when in the town of Broken Dreams. So not only do we have Lonesome Town, we have Broken Dreams Town. Mm-hmm. That's, if I would have listened to this when I was 23 drinking Jack Daniels, I probably would have gotten a tattoo.
Well, the thing about it too is, if you look at it, both of those characters are Lonesome Town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mia, she's not really around the boss a whole lot.
Nope.
So she's not doing anything. Vince, John Travolta's character, he's got Vince, and that's really all he has going on. And then you're talking about Broken Hearts, right? Mia didn't get that movie. John Travolta's not getting I don't know what he wanted, but he's not getting what he wants. So it's very apropos of the two people in that moment.
Absolutely. And then it's shot with single shots too. Like, they put the camera on one side of the car and the other. There's very rarely a two shot with both of them in it. So I kind of like that they have Lonesome Town playing, and then you have single shots of these two kind of lonesome people. I mean,
exactly.
We've seen Leon, man. Like, hitmen don't have a lot of friends.
See?
Right? So now they get to go out, kind of hang out, talk about $5 shakes, kind of bond. You learn about her pilot. But it's just a great emo song, and so I had to pick it.
Fair enough. It is a good, like, if it was at a bar, I would listen to it, and I don't think I would talk while that song plays. I think it's one of those you'd sit and like, and then when you're done, all right, great, beer. Can we get Tom Jones on the jukebox?
dun 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 dun.
Hey.
Dun. It's kind of wait. It's so unusual. Yeah, that's what it is, right?
Close enough. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone, but I'll take the it's so unusual.
Man, when Lonesome Town's on, when everyone's just sitting at the bar being lonesome listening to it, I want to do one of those punching things where you put it down. I would just whap the punching thing in the middle of it and like have the score go high and like ringing bells. And then just be like, yeah, everybody, I got you.
I'm the mayor and the security guard.
I just took you to the town of Broken Dreams, baby.
Also, my body broke in my hand. Can we get some ice?
I hit the thing above the punching bag.
Ooh, Daddy needs some ice.
That actually did happen to me once.
Ice? Really?
I was in Korea, and I was I think I went rogue I would do that. And I remember I was just hanging out because I was like, I don't want to be around like all these people. I'm gonna go to explore. So I found this punching bag and like I hit it and I got like the high score. So then this huge group got around us, and then I went to hit it again, but I punched a metal pole above the thing, and just like it still went pretty high, and everyone was like, oh yeah, that was great. But you know, I had too many cask beers in me, so I didn't really notice it. So I just had a really jacked hand. The next day I had to go play a soccer game, and then we had one of our soccer team had a party, and so I went in the batting cages with like an incredibly jacked up hand and was just hitting baseballs in a batting cage
with that hand.
And then like probably one of the craziest members on the soccer team was like, Mark, man, you got to get out of there.
Jeez.
And then when that person says it to you, you're like, all right, like, you know, it's not the worrywart of the team, like the kamikaze of the team told me that. And I was like, okay, that's cool. So I left the batting cage. With my jacked up hand that I did on a punching bag, which I just talked about Lonesome Town. Dropping facts.
I'll never forget it.
What's your number one Night at the Roxbury song?
My number one Night at the Roxbury song is Beautiful Life by Ace of Base.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got great synths, just a great overarching beat and melody. And it's also that iconic moment. It's the big dance number. I'm all about these big dance numbers, apparently. It's the big dance number, the big choreograph. They're all coming down the steps. It's just this big, we kind of take a break and have fun and dance about it. And it's also like I would hear that and I would hear I Saw the Sign on the radio the most, which I thought was weird because I'm like, why would this be playing? But I guess because of like the flavor of the moment and, you know, the movie being in theaters, it was playing a whole lot. But it always sticks out to me too. I can remember being in the back of my mom's green Pontiac Bonneville and just hearing that song play.
It's a Beautiful Life.
Yeah, it is. And that Pontiac Bonneville.
And you know what? It's great too that like they get in the club, they get in through Michael Clark Duncan. You know, they actually play the song when they're trying to get in the club and they can't, and then they get into the club with Richard Grieco, and then it plays again. And I just loved, you know, the coat room. Like, this is the most beautiful place I've ever seen. Guys, this is a coat room. And then they're talking about like what hottie overlords and you know the song's all partying to the break of dawn, and like you have somewhere to belong, guide you on your way, and that's Grieco. Who, I mean, at the end he talks his dad into kind of accepting his son. So I mean, he really is the person who guides them on their way. And you also get Chaz Palminteri saying, "Did you grab my ass?"
I love that.
Like he's in Philly.
Sir, from where I'm standing, it is physically impossible for me to grab your ass. I know your tricks. I love that. I gotta bring that back.
Okay.
Maybe not at work, but I gotta bring it back like around the house.
Okay, well then since you said that's okay, I'm pivoting too. So my first pick for this is Amber's "This Is Your Night" because the big dancing takes place during this, and there's also a lot of like ass grabbing in it. And Chaz Palminteri says, "That's some good ass grabbing," which it's a recurring theme in this movie. But
yeah, for some who knows what reason.
I mean, like, you know, the song wasn't the biggest, but like "This Is Your Night," like it's a perfect song. Like, you know, the girls actually want to dance with them. They want them for their money. But I did write down, so I wrote "Dabba dabba dot da dit dot din day, dabba dabba dot da dit dot din day, dabba dabba dot da dit dot da day, dit dot da day. This is your." I was watching it on Amazon Prime, and the subtitles were on for some reason, and they're just on, and it spelled it out. I was like, dabba 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 dit dot da day, and then it's dit dot and day, dit dot and day. But then when you look up the "This Is Your Night," they have it spelled completely different. They're like da 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 dit dit they spell it DITAITAIDI dit I yeah, I'm lost. It was Amazon, and it's captioning that saved my life on this one. But yeah, dabba 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 dit dot today, dit dot today, and then you know, there's a scene where Chris Kattan just levels that poor woman on the ground, and then like they're dancing together. And you know, I worked in bars. There's a lot of space that's being made for this group of people. And then there's the songs like "Everything Is Gonna Be All Right," and it's just it's kind of a high of the film. It's a lot of dedicated time to "This Is Your Night." And you know, at first I picked Amber because I thought it was Robin, but then I was like, wait, Amber's not Robin. Robin's not Amber.
Wait a second.
He's one named artist. What's next?
Right.
You know, like
Prince.
Like, you know, Janet Jackson, just do that, right? Christina Aguilera. When you have Amber, when you have Robin, Cher,
Adele. Beyonce.
Yeah, they're all blending together.
Yeah, even if you just repeat yourself, Duran Duran. Yeah, I know that's a band, but you could still.
Yeah. So
they were almost Duran.
So someone goes, yeah, you listen to Duran? Duran? Yeah. Like, this is. Wait, I mean, are you
Wait, who are you listening to? Duran. What?
It's like, are you talking about the boxer Roberto Duran? No, I'm talking about Duran. So Duran. Duran? Yeah. Then why'd you shorten it?
Why did you say it twice? Hey, do you guys smell toast, or is that just me?
What's over there? Zip. But yeah, I mean, I had to go for it. I mean, we had two great Chaz Palminteri gags. So, what's your second Pulp Fiction song?
My second Pulp Fiction song is Flowers on the Wall by the Statler Brothers. I know this is a bit of an odd one, but I actually heard this originally on Johnny Cash's At San Quentin album. There was the original album, and then a couple years ago, I think early 2000s, they put out this big box set, and it was the whole show. It wasn't just like the highlights. And Carl Perkins played, but the Statler Brothers played, and they opened with Flowers on the Wall. And that song always caught my attention because of that dip in the chorus, where it's like kangaroo, you know what I mean? That little up and twang kind of thing. I thought that was neat. And then looking into it more, when you're listening to the lyrics, you know, counting flowers on the wall, don't bother me at all, smoking cigarettes, and, you know, hanging out and everything. And it's like that song came out in 1965. Like, that's kind of a bit progressive for its time. Nobody's singing about that stuff in 65, and here they are, like, counting flowers on the wall. And it's like a borderline country song. Country songs then didn't really dip into, I guess, drugs in that way. Sure, alcohol, you know what I mean? You know, drinking a glass to forget about the girl and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. It just always felt a little, I can't think of the word, but just a little on that cusp of like, is this right? Is this supposed to be right?
Heck yeah. And that one, that was a top 10 single that won 2 Grammys.
What?
Yeah. The Statler Brothers.
Yeah. What Grammys did it win?
And only 2 of them are brothers, and they named their names off of a tissue box. He said we could have been the Kleenex brothers. I don't know if you know that.
I do not, but.
Yeah, he said the funniest part of their name is that they pulled the word Statler off a box of tissues. We could easily be known as the Kleenex brothers.
And then the history would never have been the same.
And then Karen Rackman. Do you know Karen Rackman suggested this for the album? And she also worked on, like, Get Shorty, Basketball Diaries, Clueless, Desperado. She did Reservoir Dogs. She did Reality Bites. She has a gigantic. She worked with Liz Phair. Let's see. She just worked on so many different Stealing Beauty. She worked on Romeo and Juliet. That movie.
The Baz Luhrmann one.
Yeah, she worked on Boogie Nights. Bulworth.
Remember? She knows what's up musically.
Yeah.
I bet you her music collection is immaculate, like just fantastical.
She got like that super ghetto superstar off the ground. She also worked on Rugrats the movie, which was huge. I don't know if you remember that soundtrack. She did Mystery Men with All Star. Like Office Space, dude. She worked on Office Space. Like, damn, it feels good to be a gangster. Moulin Rouge. She worked on. She just has like a gigantic. Oh, she did LL Cool J. Heck yeah.
All these movies with like big songs that were on the radio and like kind of not even songs that were like of the time, kind of older songs that were brought back, almost like I can remember James Gunn when he did his Awesome Mixes, and everyone's like, oh yeah, look at all these songs from back in the 60s and 70s, and they go back and listen to it, and then a whole new generation discovers it.
Yeah, she's a beast, dude, and she suggested this song, and it's a perfect song for the scene. And I learned about Kleenex boxes.
Yeah, and it's also like it's realistic. You know what I mean? He's not like screaming out loud to a song because that's not his character type. He's just kind of humming along, and then, you know, runs into Marcellus Washburn. Very different. Runs into Marcellus, and all of a sudden, you know, things take a turn.
Which we have a song that's going to be we'll talk about too during that moment.
Potentially.
You know, it's interesting. You and I picked 3 songs that are really close to the Jackrabbit Slims thing. Like 50% of our songs are around there. Maybe I was so shocked when I watched it when I was younger that I kind of tuned out, and then I just remember the songs from earlier on.
Could be. I always just found it interesting, and I always wanted a restaurant like that near me that had kind of that, not kitschy, but you know what I mean? You walk in and there's somebody who's dressed as Buddy Holly. There's somebody dressed as Marilyn Manson. You know what I mean? Kind of you're walking into that time capsule, not just stuff on the walls like a TGI Fridays. Not knocking it, but something a little more immersive.
I want a Deep Blue Sea experience.
you imagine, like, as you eat, the water just rises, and you're like, we should probably hurry up here.
Better finish our Helsinki hollandaise.
Why are the mozzarella sticks taking so long? My socks are wet.
The waiters are all dressed like sharks, just hating life.
And it's left shark too, so they're very uncoordinated.
Yeah. Whoa! You hear about 8 crashes.
Oh, I dropped your mozzarella sticks. Let me go get some more.
Oh. I guess what I'm gonna pick is I'm gonna take Dick Dale's Miserloo. And I heard it pronounced Miserloo as well.
I've
But
never heard it pronounced that way.
oh, well, yeah, Miserloo. And so it's Tarantino talked about the opening of this movie, and you have Tim Roth and Amanda Plummer, just everything they say that comes out of their mouth. It's like, I bet you Tarantino was watching the monitor when they were reciting his dialogue going, yes,
Yeah.
yes, 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 yes.
I am the greatest.
Yeah, just like the enunciation, like, all right, everybody, this is a robbery. Like, just, I'll execute every last one of you. Like, it's perfect cadence. Like, they understand Tarantino. It's like Robert Downey Jr. understands Shane Black dialogue. Those two understood.
Good pull.
Like, those two understood his dialogue, and then it kicks into Miserloo with Dick Dale, which is, like, guitarist. This is an all-time. Like, this is an all-timer right here. People talk about, I was watching videos from '95 where he's performing that have millions of views, and just what I like about this guy is, he was born in Boston, Lebanese American kid. He liked Hank Williams a lot, but he liked Gene Krupa, and so his guitar style was like rhythmic, prickly, and biting. So he's like, I play with the heavy staccato style because it's like I'm playing drums. He moved to California when he was 12, and so surf rock kicked off in kind of the '60s. Just reverb laden guitars. They wanted to like hit the sensation ride in a wave. Like, you wanted to have that feeling. And like someone called his music reckless with a grace, and which I think is pretty amazing. I'm what's kind of crazy is I've tried to surf and I'm terrible. Like, I can't skate, I can't surf. I'll try them all and I'll hurt myself. I've driven a motorcycle into a mailbox. I think I told you this, right? A dirt bike into a tree, a moped into a ditch, and a 4-wheeler into a house.
I want to hear. My cousin drove a 4-wheeler in our house once.
Yeah. I'm terrible on skateboards, roller skates, but I've tried to surf. I can't even ski. I have to tube. But I've always loved surfing documentaries. Step into Liquid, Riding Giants, Endless Summer, and I've always been a huge Beach Boys fan. I know they're not exactly surf rock. But like beef rock. What would that sound like? Very sludgy. Very, like, a lot of fat chords.
Would it be Captain Beefheart? Like, just his music? Just these real meaty tones coming out?
But yeah, I love surf rock because I feel like it's really aggressive. I sent you that link about thrash metal. It's with more like, distortion. But yeah, Dale, like, he grew up with that kind of Arabic music around him, and his dad, like, played a lot of Arab songs. And he sort of learned about this song from the 1927 version of it, like a Mediterranean folk song. Then he, like, put himself away and kind of mastered this song. And just watching the picking, the upside down left-handed guitar, the story behind it's awesome. But Tarantino said, I'm going to lay a gauntlet down. And what's funny? Before I read that article, I have the Pulp Fiction soundtrack in my truck, and I was listening to it, and I was thinking, if you're in a band, one of the craziest things you could do is play this song first, because you're laying it down. Like, you lay it down. So you have to keep the momentum up, or it's getting killed. Like, it's a very audacious thing to do to start with this.
The tone is here. Mm-hmm. Like, that's where the bar is. It's up top, and you have to meet that. You can't let go.
No, and I thought that was pretty cool. Like, just watching him laying that gauntlet down and crushing it. But it's a perfect intro to the song. I learned a lot about him, the guitarist and the culture around that, and that's kind of why I love doing these things sometimes. Is I feel like I learn a lot about certain songs, and it was just cool. Like, it's it's just epic, and it feels like a big old movie, and that's why I picked it.
Yeah, and it's great because you're already hyped because she's jumping up, like you said, I'm going to execute every last one of you. And rather than see what happens next, bang, here comes that song. It's loud, it's in your face, it catches you off guard. And what is it? Just here's the title, Pulp Fiction. This is what we're doing. And then it cuts to something else, like you touched on earlier with the nonlinear. It just cuts to something else altogether different. And you're like, wait, what is happening right now? It's a little disorienting, and it kind of keeps you that way as it changes through until we pick up and, we find out what happens to Honey Bunny and if she's cool or not.
She meets Jules. Oh, what a scene. It's just beautiful, man. And so I had to pick it. And I'm glad you left it open for me because I really enjoyed researching it.
Yeah, I got into the song from Space Jam when they do that little homage to Pulp Fiction, which I discovered later on. I'm like, oh, that's where that's from. And then obviously the Black Eyed Peas did their thing and kind of ruined it for me. But it is what it is.
I got a feeling. No, you're shaking your head.
I'm not a Peas head.
No, yeah, they don't. Their music. Could they do anything to appease you?
They could take a 5. Well, they're kind of taking a 5 right now. They're not doing much, but it was just a lot. It was a lot at once.
I always wondered why their song "Where Is the Love" didn't cause world peace.
I mean, Justin Timberlake was on it singing the chorus, and he was huge at the time. Like, how does it not?
I do have some respect for them, though, because I worked in bars and just watching, I Got a Feeling, listening to Let's Get It Started after the edit. Even when they started, like, That's a Joint, That's a Jam, like, they were, like, the beginning stuff, like, I feel like they learned the equation for gigantic club pop hits.
Yeah.
And then, like, I feel like it's a science. It really is. So I have respect for them in that regards. But, yeah, they were everywhere for a while.
Yeah.
But, like,
I think...
Oh no!
I'm sorry. Again, they're not good.
Listen to that song, "My Humps." It'll put you in a weird place because you just listen to the song and you're going like, man, what is happening? Like, this is here. It was a huge hit, and I kind of appreciate them for that. But it's a very confounding song.
Yeah, it's and the chorus is weird too because how they say she's got me spending. It's like very like a minor progression that goes up. My group of friends in high school was obsessed with that song. Whenever we did Cosmic Bowling, they wanted to hear it, so it always played. When we had our proms and our homecomings, it always played. So after a while, I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of good. I'm kind of good on this. And I think Black Eyed Peas, the key to success was like, hey, let's stop singing about something with a purpose and a message for the community, and let's just talk about excess and what we wish to be. And then so it became. They started winning Grammys, and they started – Dolce & Gabbana and Icy's and Fendi's and, everything else. And it's good for them. Good for them.
You know what's interesting, though? I would watch people when I Got a Feeling comes on, and it's a hard song to dance to. So people would have this, like, absolute flow with the song, and then I Got a Feeling comes on. And then you would just watch people, and they're kind of hopping, and they're kind of – it was never an NSYNC, not the band. Even though I did listen to an NSYNC song the other day, Dirty Pop, and I almost melted into the ground.
Just blown away by that banger? Or?
No, I was like, I've never heard anything this bad. I hate being negative, but when I heard that song, I just went, oh my gosh. I froze. It was a weird thing, man. It was odd. I started walking on water like the end of being there. Like, it was strange.
I remember that for some reason from, I don't remember if it was Pop-Up Video or Making the Video, but one of those MTV shows, and felt like it was everywhere for a little bit.
Dirty
that music
Pop.
Video for it.
Give me what you got.
Some beat can't stop.
I did like Making the Video. That was cool. They did that for LL Cool J. They did that for NSYNC when videos were huge. That was a good show. That was good. All right, so how about this? Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll do our final pick. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And it's time. It's time for our second Night at the Roxbury picks. Hey, are we brothers? No.
In some no? Okay.
Yes. I was like, he's going to catch on sometime.
I didn't. I'm so sorry. Because I'm thinking, then I heard that part. I'm like, all right, Step Brothers. Will Ferrell was in Step Brothers. Maybe we're going to do a weird pivot. And then forgot it. And I can even see their faces when they say it, too.
One thing, Lachlan Monroe is the MVP of Night at the Roxbury. He is hilarious in that. I'm down to 2% body fat. I want to start a protein bar. Just his looks in that movie. And when he's at the club dancing, and also Eva Mendes is in it as bridesmaid, who yells at the end. And then they did the other guys reunion later on with Will Ferrell.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty wonderful.
Yeah.
What's your second pick for Night at the Roxbury?
My second pick is Where Do You Go by No Mercy.
Oh, yeah.
It's catchy. Like, there's truly no other thing than it's catchy. Like, where do you go? I got real easy lyrics. Got it. It's an earworm too. When you hear it, it's stuck for a little bit. Or if someone says it, it's hard not to like kind of dance, move along to it. And I know it's not the song, but I've never seen this song play and not at least one person in the room do the head nod along to it. Like there's always one person that does it, or another person that's like, oh yeah, I know this one. So it's known.
It's such an earnest question. Where do you go, my lovely? Where do you go? Yeah. I want to know. Like
and they got some kind of nice harmonies in part of the song. Like it's almost like Gypsy Kings if they had like a little bit of EDM in them.
Oh, I want to know.
A little bit of calypso and the claps and everything with it. Like it's delightful. And how often do you hear like an upbeat, like kind of 90s house with acoustic guitar in there? Like you don't.
Oh.
At least I don't think you do.
Yeah, just the way it kicks off. That's what I loved about 90s dance music. There were, like, it was pretty interesting. There were some pretty good, like, I dug 90s dance music. And this song plays at a good time, too, because they can't get in the club, it's closed. And it just goes, where do you go? And then where are they going to go? And then it goes to them sleeping at their house. And then Chris Kattan gets a Twizzlers in his mouth, nose, and then Will Ferrell eats it.
It's just like anything else in that film. And weirdly enough, like in the Pulp Fiction ones, it's just apropos. But rather than it being a weird somber song, that's not their lifestyle. Their lifestyle is the club. Mm-hmm. Their lifestyle is upbeat music. So, of course, that's going to be the song that plays. Not a ballad. There's not a lot of 90s dance ballads, I don't think. And even if there are some more somber minor key songs, you're still pumping your fist to it. You know what I mean? Like the desert mist the rain, and I miss you.
Oh, man, like, even Tom's Diner, you can kind of like da 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 da. You can kind of
a little bit. Just kind of move and groove with it.
Yeah, that's probably the best dance right there. But yeah, I mean, this one was BuzzFeed says it's in the 101 greatest dance songs of the 90s, and then in 2021 it was ranked number 40 in their list of the 50 best songs of summer. So I mean,
okay,
yeah,
I would agree.
I mean that's not bad. And then what? Let's see. Oh yeah, wait, LaBouche did this right? Yeah, no. Yeah. The Euro Dance Band. Electronic dance music. Wait, did they also do Be My Lover? And Sweet Dreams?
They did Be My Lover.
And Tonight is the Night.
Sweet Dreams was the Eurythmics, I thought.
No, Sweet Dreams of Rhythm and Dancing.
Oh, that
Sweet
one, that
dreams
one.
Yo.
Different dreams.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Be my lover, wanna be my lover.
Sorry, I got a tattoo recently, and the guy was playing Marilyn Manson's Sweet Dreams as I walked in, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be here.
Oh, wait, so I just messed up. No Mercy is a trio of American singers who were originally brought together in Germany by producer Frank Farian. Bronx-born Marty Cintron and twin brothers Ariel and Gabriel Hernandez, who hailed from Miami.
But they got together in Germany.
Were originally brought together in Germany.
Well, I think Europe has always been a little ahead of America when it comes to pop. They had the House and Trance, and then it came here. Then it had like the EDM stuff that came here. So I can understand how it's in Germany, and they're spreading the word, and then they try to make it big in America.
I mean, look at Dieter from SNL. You probably saw him a lot in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. There was Dieter, there's Sprocket.
But yeah, dude, it's a great jam. And I listen to it a lot on the radio. I love when you pick this, I was like, yeah. This is a good jam. This makes me very happy. All right, so my next one is my second pick is from Robbie Robb's Club World, and it's Make That Money. Because Robbie Robb's Club World. Now, so I picked I had the lyrics here. Where do I have it? Make That Money lyrics. Oh, I must have lost it looking up something. But I was listening to this the other day on my way to work, and I was like, you know what? I am gonna go make that money. It says make that. It's like it starts off great too. I want to dance, and then it's like builds into it, and then it's just like make that money, make that money, baby. You've got to make that money all night, yeah. Make that money, make that money, baby. You've got to make that money tonight. And my favorite part of this song is when it goes cash, check, or credit card. Everybody working hard. Yen, pound, or dollar bill, as long as you call it money still. Income, earning, salaries, everybody charging fees. Your parent, your bubby, your baby, your honey, everybody make that money.
Yeah, that's about right. I think they were originally going to inscribe that on the Statue of Liberty, and then they went with poor, tired, and huddled masses.
Give me your part. No, make that money, baby. But like, you just want to make that money, and like, you know what I love too is like they're going into the bar, they're trying to get in, they come across Michael Clark Duncan. That one guy has a ton of money. So while this song is playing, Doug and Steve bring up I got an Abraham, I got some George Washington, I got some Roosevelt, some Jefferson.
His friend,
yeah,
George Washington, and his other friend, George Washington.
Oh, and this one's lonely. He wants to go with his bandmates. And then Duncan just throws it on the ground.
Just tips that clipboard over.
But like, they picked a good song. I mean, it's dealing with money, so then he tips it over. But you know what's interesting? I know I'm gonna mess this up big time, but on this album, the album is by the guy from CC and the Music Factory.
Okay.
One of the guys from CC and the Music Factory. So he broke free of CC and then started his own thing, Robbie Robs, and then he came out with this song, Make That Money.
Yeah, and that's what he wanted to do. He's like, look, we got to close the factory down, but we're going to open up Club World, and we're going to see what happens.
And you know what I love, too, about these songs? Like, Where Did You Go, My Lovely, I Want to Know. Make That Money. This Is Your Night. It's a Beautiful Life. The simplicity of 1990s songs were just like, it's a beautiful life. All right, let's party. Like, this is your night. This is your night. Beautiful. Straightforward.
Yeah, go out there and get it.
So
go out there and get it.
When I was in my truck in Atlanta rush hour traffic to go make money, I was listening to a song going, you know what? I am going to go make money. I'm going to do it. Yeah.
And here you are making it.
More money.
Yeah. I see those scarves behind you hanging on the wall.
Yeah. You don't, if you ain't making money, you ain't buying scarves.
Ain't nobody, you don't see scarves in here. What do I got behind me? Knickknacks. I found at a thrift store.
You know how many cold people there are in the north? I'm not even cold. And I live in the south and I have scarves. That's how much disposable income I have. There's people in the north right now who would want these scarves.
In a big bad way, but no.
I use these scarves to take to soccer games and hold up in the air and not put around my neck. I'm not crazy. I got those scarves in my other closet.
Ah, you just switch them out when the seasons change.
Yes, I have a very.
Do they change down there?
Yeah, I mean we get we had a gnarly summer. We do have a fall. All the leaves change in fall. The coldest it's ever been since I've been here was 17, which if you live in the South is like murder. And I just stand in a warehouse for like 14 hours during the filming day. And we get snow a couple times a year, enough for my family from Iowa to be like, that's nothing. I'm like, I live in the South. You live in Iowa. Like we
don't have trucks for this or shovels.
Yeah, exactly.
When I moved to New Orleans, when I would go to the stores, they weren't snow shovels, they were demo shovels. I'm like, what? No, this is what we use for our snow. And they're like, well, we don't. I'm like, oh, clearly. Watch the attitude, mister.
Yeah. Did they say go with like Geau? Go out of here? Like Wilford Brimley from Hard Target?
Not until the 6th time I was there. But I will say I became a fan of that type of spelling where you swap out the O for like a EAUX or whatever it is. I was a fan for a little bit.
Nice. What did your name become? Nick?
Nope, just Nick.
Rohack?
Nope. I wish I had a fun, like, you kind of throw the O in there, but nope.
Mark.
I would watch the O's, the Orioles. I'd watch the O's, the EAU, X apostrophes.
EAU.
I had to rewrite
Reels?
on all my shirts.
The Ariels?
The A's. Let's just spend the rest of the episode just O's.
Anytime there's an O in there, you gotta say go, oh, my pure podcast.
Oh, say, can you see?
Let's see. It's a Beautiful Life does it goes to show you never can tell.
Not at the Roxbury. That was a stretch. Now it's like we're talking backwards in the Black Lodge.
All right, what's your third Pulp Fiction pick?
My third Pulp Fiction pick is it's a combination because on the soundtrack, a little bit of dialogue from the film, and then it goes into the song. So technically, it's the Gimp / Comanche, but the song is Comanche by the Rebels, Revels. I'm just a big fan, and because of our conversation about Miserlou earlier, Miserlou is such an iconic. It's not overplayed, but it's just well known. But there's something about this song. I kind of dig this more than I do Miserlou in the movie. There's something, bit of a hot take. There's something about it, like the song builds, and as it's building, that's when Bruce Willis, his character, is going from item to item.
Beautiful.
He's like, I'm gonna get him with this, and it's like, no, I'm gonna get him with this, and then finally he sees that sword, and he's like, no, I'm gonna get him with this, and it builds with him, and it's just the way it hits is just really. I'm a big saxophone guy, so anytime there's a sax rocking and rolling, I'm for it.
Dude, in my notes, I have a huge sax circled. I'm like, the sax work. I'm going to say something crazy. If I could be a background musician, or like a studio musician, not background, a studio musician on any track ever in the history of the world, I would want to be the saxophone player on Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You cover, because the royalties would be enormous, and there's a lot of sax work in that song.
It's some might say it's really saxy.
Yeah, saxy. And if I did the soundtrack, I would either want Lost Boys or Tequila Sunset with the saxophone.
I find myself more and more, like, as I'm riding around listening to music, if a guitar solo hits in my head, I'm like, how would it A, sound on a saxophone, and B, how cool would it look on a saxophone? A guy just ripping it. You know what I mean? They kind of got close to it, Bruce Springsteen and his E Street Band with Clarence Clemens, and he would kind of rock out the sax, but just a good old-fashioned guitar solo, but swap it out for a sax, I'm there.
You know, can I tell you something weird about guitar solos?
Please do.
My brother went to a Sister Hazel concert, and
I
remember him coming back, and he's like, man, he's like the guy who had all the guitar solos must have just gone through a breakup, because he had a guitar solo on every single song, and like they must want like him to find a girlfriend. So I guess he was just saying they gave him so many guitar solos so that like he would impress all the ladies in the crowd, because he's recently single. So now whenever I hear a good guitar solo, I'm like, is this person recently single? But I just remember him telling me that, and it was so random. I was like, oh, interesting. You know,
especially if they're going like really hard or something.
There was a Sister Hazel guitar solo for 12 minutes. You know who hits really hard? And I've been listening to them since their Blue album. But Weezer. I had a Weezer Spotify playlist. Man, they have so many like guitar solos, like A Perfect Situation. Say It Ain't So. I was in a band called Johnny Party and the Furious Funksters, and our guitarist could never hit the guitar solo from Say It Ain't So. Undone, the Sweater Song, gnarly solo. I love their guitar solos. Even all my favorite songs are slow and sad. They have a new song out called Hero, wailing guitar solos.
And that's what's really weird. You never expect that from Weezer, and all of a sudden they hit you, and it's like, whoa, okay, like get you. I don't know what one of the tracks on Pinkerton, just that almost like a chainsaw, wow, bam, and they're into it. It's like, Weezer, are you upset? Who hurt you, man? Like, what's going on, pal?
I just listened to that entire album, and they wail on a couple of them, and it does sound angry. Yeah. Beautiful.
I really like the expanded editions because they throw on these like B-sides, like oh god, You Gave Your Love to Me Softly, because it's just like da-na-na-na-na-na, bam, and off they go to the races. Like, there's just some good tunes on that album. Oh, yeah. Real good tunes.
Good tunes. But yeah, also too, you know, originally it was My Sharona that was supposed to be during that scene, but then they but it went to Reality Bites instead because they didn't want the song. And Tarantino was funny. He's like, yeah, it kind of has like a good sodomy beat to it. And that's what Tarantino's exact words were. It has a good sodomy beat.
My Sharona.
By
the Knack.
Yeah. My Sharona.
The one that Weird Al would eventually parody and call My Valona.
Yeah.
I would never in 1,000 years would I think that song.
And Tarantino's happy it didn't happen because it's too cute. That would have wrecked the scene. If Tarantino did that, then he enters Too Cute Town, not Lonesome Town.
It's true. I don't think there's any songs about Cute Town.
I went to Cute Town looking great.
Then the saxophone comes out.
Everyone's like, I feel pretty good now. All right, so my third pick is Dusty Springfield's Son of a Preacher Man.
Love Dusty.
I mean, that song, And so there's a couple reasons. Like I was I'm the son of a preacher man. I was always like an emotional wreck, so I never had that effect on women when I met them. But like reading that song, like hearing her sing, just like hearing Dusty sing it, it is just there's just so much soul to it. And I was reading this article on Rolling Stone, and Aretha Franklin turned it down. She later did a cover of it, but the producer Jerry Wexler, it's an odd quote, but he said that Dusty Springfield was the incarnation of white soul, if there was such a thing. But just hearing that song walking in while she's on the snorting coke, she's on the microphone, she's on the intercom, in the white room, really clean room. So you have like Son of a Preacher Man, you have this sort of white, clean, wealthy vibe playing. Yeah. Tarantino didn't even want to do the scene if he couldn't get the rights to the song. But just hearing Dusty belt it out, and I watched a live performance of her do it, and it's just, oh my gosh, it's just so good. And just watching like the way that song goes, and just like it's also really fun. I think there's a sense of humor too, because Vincent's blasted out of his mind, right? He's stoned. He has some great surf rock playing on the way over there. But when she's talking to him, he's like, okay. Like he's saying very little, one word responses. And so it goes, okay. And then it goes, sweet talking to me. Right? And there's a sense of humor to it because he's just being such a stone bugger. But the song really syncs up with it well. So I'm going to say Dusty Springfield.
I love Dusty Springfield. Sometimes when I'm working, I'll just throw like the Silver Collection on or Dusty in Memphis, and she just absolutely kills it. I like Isaac Hayes and some of the covers he's done of other artists' songs. Dionne Warwick doing Walk On By. He tried to do You Don't Have to. What's that one? You don't have to say you love me. You don't have to say you love me. Just be close at hand. He did a version of that too, and I'm like, nah, Dusty's got it. No, it wasn't that song. I can't think of what song it was. It's going to hit me when I least expect it. But there's some versions that she just excels. Like there's no way you just can't beat it. Even when she does covers, like when she does Windmills of Your Mind. Oh, it's outstanding.
Just like her just, yeah. I mean, her singing is just wonderful. And this song brought her back on the charts. I mean, this was a popular song. I didn't even know she was British, which is kind of crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
That's that Adele thing, man.
And she just belts it out and has that great soul. But, like, Son of a Preacher Man. Like, I was a son of a preacher man. So hearing that, you're like, this is cool. It's like a good song. It's a cool song. So, yeah, that's my third and final Pulp Fiction pick. What's your final Night at the Roxbury?
My final Night at the Roxbury pick is the monster mix of Insomnia by Faithless. I went through a very weird techno, trance, house phase early in college. I would say the first two semesters I got really big into it. And I was just absorbed by it. I wanted to hear all the different ones, and it was clicking like, oh, I've heard that before. That's from this. Oh, I've heard that before. It's from this. And this is what happened with this song. I'm like, I know I've heard this before. And then on a rewatch of it, I'm like, there it is. That's the one. So it's a weirdly nostalgic song for me now, in that I kind of go back to that time of like, here I am in college, listening to this, but trying to dress in like that pop punk kind of way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tried skinny jeans. Not gonna lie, didn't work out all that great. But yeah, I don't know, something about the song. I just like it.
Oh man, and it hits too, and it's so cool when it comes on because it kicks in when like it feels pretty good because it kicks in when they become their bosses and like, can you approve this? And they're like, oh yeah, that's fine. And just sort of you meet the credit vixen and like the hottie police officer. And then the song kicks in, and like I can't get no sleep, and Insomnia, and dun 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 dun. Oh man, yeah, it's so good, right?
It's a great jam that kind of takes you away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is one of those, you can get lost in this song if you're not paying attention. If you're driving and this song is on, all of a sudden it's like when you go to work in the morning and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm here. How did I get here?
Yeah.
This is the exact same way with this song. You're just kind of listening to it and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm driving. I've been driving for the last 5 miles, but I have no recollection of me driving.
I've been really enjoying, I have Sirius Radio, and Pitbull has a Pitbull Globalization, and he has morning mixes. So like he doesn't do the 13? Mix. Yeah, it's like sometimes like I'm getting used to some of the DJs there, but you get some really cool. The one morning when I was driving to work, they had this 90s mix, and it was just all updated with like a lot of EDM with 90 songs. But it was awesome. Sometimes I get lost in that, man. That makes my ride a lot better in the morning. But you're right though. This is kind of it doesn't hype you up, but it kind of immerses you in that world. So that's how you could get to one place to another without even realizing it. It kind of puts you in that trance.
It's a very literally. I mean, that's the whole point of it. It's trance music, but it's also one of those like I would love to play chess while listening to this song, or I would love to play Scrabble while listening to the song, because I think you would play with that much more of an intense ferocity, and you would want to like not just beat your opponent, but you would want to obliterate and dominate, even though that's not the energy that this song is bringing. You know what I mean?
It'll keep you focused, but you'd still get kind of pumped up.
Yeah. Inside, you're just like.
I love this song. Yeah, when this came on my CD, I turned it up so loud. It made me so happy. It's a good jam.
Yeah, it's just, and there's that bumping, just that driving bass that's just front and center, like ooh, 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 ooh.
It's a good song. I would have picked that. That's good. That was like my fourth pick for sure. But I had to make that money, my friend.
Got to. Sometimes you got to.
And last but not least, we have probably the most featured song of any of the songs in all of these soundtracks, and that's Hadaway's "What Is Love." I mean, the movie opens with that.
Mm-hmm.
It like the Butabis. Are we supposed to believe that they're like they did 7 years of high school and they've been friends with Lachlan Monroe that long? So are we to believe that these guys are 21, 22?
Wow. I didn't even think about that. Maybe they're supposed to be like that age, but really they're like 10 years added on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're like, oh, we've known you all 7 years of high school, and that's it. But
so I think that just shows how long it took.
They're very aggressive guys in the beginning when they're bouncing people around. But then the next time it's used is on a beach when there's just a ton of butt shots, and then there's a butt shot of them. And then there's the wedding scene where it's basically like Say Anything, where Chris Kattan is Lloyd Dobler. And then the movie ends with, and I love that their heads are nodding, and people are like, stop nodding your head. Stop nodding your head. Stop doing that. Richard Grieco says today. And I love that Lachlan Monroe, like, saves the day. It makes me so happy. He's like, I have 2% body fat, protein bar. And then it plays again when they're driving on the way, when they're happy. There's like, you look good. Like they're back in the car looking good. They move back into the room. And then it comes out the end when the ladies are like, no, yes. But it's kind of weird. Like, they're like, I love this song. And then Farrell goes, I'm getting kind of sick of it. And then the end credits, it's the song. So a lot of time is dedicated to Hadaway's Where's the Love? Oh, yeah, wait. Yeah, What Is Love? What is love? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's just, oh, baby, don't hurt me no more. And it's just like, oh. It's just such a good song. You know, like, and it had a great run, too. So, yeah.
That song got back on my radar when somebody mixed it for a beat, and it was like an Eminem and Lil Wayne song.
Really?
Have you ever heard that?
No.
You ever hear that? Yeah, dude. I gotta find it now.
So you know what? It was recorded by Trinidadian German Eurodance artist Hadaway for his debut album. It reached number one. Let's see. It became number one in at least 13 countries, and it reached number 2 in Germany, Sweden, United Kingdom. Outside Europe, the single was a hit worldwide. It reached number 11 on the United States, number 12 in Australia, number 17 in Canada, number 48 in New Zealand. It won the Echo Awards in Germany. It was in the categories Best National Single and Best National Dance Single. And so he's like, we just used ideas that were fresh at the time. We tried to make something that no one else had. The song came really fast. I had the idea for the melody in about 45 minutes, and the total structure of the song was done in about a day and a half. But it's cool. It's a good beat, good song. There's some longing to it, but it's a good dance track. So, I mean, it was all over the place too. People love it, and people call it like one of the 1990s quintessential dance tunes for sure.
Oh, it absolutely is. There's no way that it's not. Like, it's when you hear Roxbury, that's the first song you think of. When you go to think techno and trance and stuff in the 90s, that might not be the first, but if it's not top 5, it's top 10 easily.
If you don't put it on a top 10, top 15 list, I feel like you're being quite provocative.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's just one of those where you kind of look at the person and you go, yeah. I mean, just based on numbers alone. I mean, based on hits, based on the amount of countries it was number 1 in, number 2 in, number 14 in, it's the movies, films, and flicks of songs.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's permeating. It's where you want it to be, and I'm not going to say worldwide phenomena. It's pretty close to a worldwide phenomena.
It's bigger in other countries than it was in America. That's the movies, films, and flicks way. We're the Paul W.S. Anderson of podcasts, which makes me very happy. And that's a compliment because he's been making movies for 30 years and just crushing it.
Yeah. And he keeps making them. They keep giving him money. He's got to be doing something right.
Listen, billion-dollar franchise with a female lead, Mila Jovovich, right? Mortal Kombat, Robin Chow saves the world. AVP, Sanaa Lathan becomes an honorary predator. Event Horizon, Lawrence Fishburne hears a gross message and goes, "We're leaving." Like, they try to leave. It's beautiful. He's a guy who's like always hired diverse, cool cast, and like he's just a beast. But he's more like, in Japan they love him, in China they love him, in Germany they love him. So it's like Movies, Films, and Flicks. We do well in the States, but we're bigger worldwide. So I'm either the Hadaway, I'm either the What Is Love, or I'm either the Paul W.S. Anderson of podcasts.
Why not both? Why not Paul W.S. Anderson doing the music video for Hadaway's What Is Love?
My mouth is wide open, and I felt drool. Like I felt it pooling in my mouth. Like that was perfect, man. Hey, well, this was awesome, man. Hey, and real quick, where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter at the Rehak, TheRehak. And speaking of saxophones, recently did an episode with Exploding Helicopter. We took a look at the film Firepower from 1979. Has a fantastic saxophone player, literally throughout the score, throughout the film. There's nothing but like sax rolling through and coming through. And correction for myself, the Isaac Hayes and Dusty Springfield song I was talking about was I Just Don't Know What to Do with Myself. Dusty did it, Isaac did it, and then the White Stripes did it. So check it out.
Oh, heck yeah. And listen, follow him on Twitter. There's so much good stuff. I love your stuff, man.
Thank you. A lot of cats, a lot of just fun little ones-offs, and he's sleeping in my bag right now. Cool. I got my backpack for work, and my cat's in there right now. Great.
Nice. Well, you're a good dude, Rehak. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, thank you, man, for always having me.
MFF like it, man. They're fans. That Purple Rain episode's really close. So someone shared one of our episodes, the action tiers of the 1990s. So that's been the biggest episode of the last year. But if they hadn't have shared it, Purple Rain would be the number one. So you're climbing. You're slowly gaining on it to be. You're gonna have the number one spot soon.
Hey, I'm just happy to be here, man. Just happy to be here.
All right. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer. For Nicholas Rehak, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.